Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to our Saturdays at 6 monthly concert here at Historic All Souls Church. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Kerr. I wear many hats at All Souls. I'll explain the significance of this hat a little bit later on. Put that over there to the side. Our mission statement is on the back of the concert brochure. Our mission statement is, as you come into the church, it's posted in a big sign. Our mission statement is on our website. Our mission statement is on our bulletin every Sunday. So we take our mission statement pretty seriously. And I'm not going to read you the whole mission statement, but I'm going to read you one line from the mission statement. And that is, we strive to be mutually supportive of the personal spiritual journey, respecting the individuality of all, and accepting the value of meeting people wherever they are on that journey. So with that mission statement, we meet all sorts of people in all different places. So those who are on an Episcopal spiritual journey, every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, we do a virtual morning prayer service. It's a little bit different than most virtual services that came out during COVID. This is live and interactive, so it's a virtual service at 8 o'clock. The people who come into the service have an active role in the service. Also, the service is recorded and posted on our website each week as well. And the service is only a half hour. Also, we do a traditional service here in the church at 9:30. Our priest in charge, Father Tom Reese, is our priest in charge, and Tom normally officiates at the 9:30 service and normally is at the 8 o'clock service as well. And Tom encourages us, consistent with our mission, to practice what we call radical hospitality. So we welcome all people of all backgrounds here at All Souls. And so those who are on a spiritual journey happen to be in the Episcopal Church. We have those two services, but we meet many more people through the various things that we do. So the church doors are open every day, and that's one of the hats I wear. I open the doors at the church every day. So we're open every day from dawn to dusk, and it's not unusual when I open those doors that there are people waiting to come in. So we're open every day. Also, we feed the hungry here. So those of you who brought food, that food we take to St. Gerard Mejia. They have a large food distribution system there in Terryville. There are hungry in this area. They tend to be invisible, but they're there. So we meet people through the doors open every day. We meet people through the contributing food to feed the hungry. Also, these concerts. Obviously, a number of you are probably here tonight to see these wonderful musicians. But we do these concerts every month. You can set your watch by it, either the first or second Saturday of the month. We do one of these second Saturdays, Saturdays at 6 concerts. I didn't get a call this week asking me what time the Saturdays at 6 concert was. I think the word's finally gotten out that it is indeed at 6 o'clock. So we do that. Also, we do poetry here once a month as well, with the Poet Laureate of Suffolk County, who's currently Dr. Richard Bronson from Stony Brook University. So we do the poetry once a month, second Saturday of the month. And we also do Native American drumming here as well. So that comes out of the Native American tradition. It's a healing service. It's thousands of years old. The drummer plays the various drums and people reflect. Very, very powerful healing experience. Also, we meet people through our interfaith programs. So every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, we do an interfaith morning prayer service. And it truly is interfaith. We've had visiting clergy come in to talk on the scriptures. We've had Rabbi Benson from the Port Jefferson Jewish Center. We've had Father Lou from the Greek Orthodox Church. We've had Father Bob from the local Roman Catholic Church. We've had Father Nick from the local, from Caroline Episcopal Church. We've had Imam Abdullah from the Selden Mosque. So it truly is an ecumenical service. We do that every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And also, many of you know Tom, in fact, we're kind of competing with him tonight. There's always something going on at the Jazz Loft. Many of you know Tom Manuel and all the things he's done with the students at the university and at the Jazz Loft. Tom is also a very talented Pentecostal preacher. And Tom preaches here once a month as well, the last Thursday of the month. So when Tom said, Dan, I'd really like to preach once a month, I said, Tom, you can go however the Holy Spirit sends you. But tell him not to send you on a journey for more than 10 minutes. So once he got used to a 10-minute homily, he was fine. So we do that. We also do an interfaith rosary here every Wednesday at noon. My wife Susan, who'll be at the reception, leads that. So that's where we meet people where they are. Before we get into tonight's program, just a couple of things. There is a list here, and I will find my pen. Oh, there it is. So one of the other hats I wear here is on the membership chairman, and people often ask me how many people we have that are members of the church. So if you include people in the congregation, if you include people in nursing homes and recently baptized babies, we're just under 100. But if you include our footprint in the community, people like yourselves who we have a relationship with, it's over 850 people. So those are people that we consider friends of All Souls. Those are the people we invite to our concerts, to our poetry, to our Native American drumming. If you'd like to be on that list, I promise not to ask you for money. Just put your name and your email here, and I'll gladly send you invitations to all of our events. So tonight's program, we'll get started shortly. We have 2 sets, and we take a 15-minute intermission in between sets. We'll have a reception. The weather is beautiful, so we'll actually have a reception outside. We also leave an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end. So any questions you might want to ask of the musicians, you can. And then Suzanne, could you hold up that thank you chart? So we have these struggling musicians having to put gas into their cars, having to feed themselves, pay tuition, and so forth. So whatever thank you you leave for the musicians goes directly to them. I do count it, I'm a CPA, so I got to count everything, but that goes directly to them. So if you'd like to give a thank you to the musicians, just put it in that little drawer there. And we will finish up by 8 o'clock as well. Okay, so that's the formula. Okay, so it's my distinct, yes?
Before you start, I do want to just mention that everything, that all the events that we do here is part of our lend a hand, bring a canned gift, and I want to thank all of you that did bring food for our food donation.
Okay, thank you, Susan. And if you didn't bring food tonight, the church is open every day. You can drop it off at any time. So tonight's concert. So we're pleased to welcome back the Whitman String Quartet. So they performed here last year. Were very well received. And also some of you have performed in other incarnations with other groups as well. So this is a group composed of doctoral students and PhDs, actual graduates from Stony Brook University. So we'll recognize the fact that two of them have completed their degrees. This group was founded at Stony Brook University in 2015, and the ensemble has participated in the Philip Seltzer String Quartet Intensive and in the first class of the Emerson String Quartet Institute, studying in coaching and master classes formats with all of the 5 recent members of the acclaimed Emerson String Quartet. So they have a strong relationship with the Emerson String Quartet. So I'd like to introduce them individually. So let's welcome them individually. Joanne Dromascu on violins. Joanne has also performed here solo as well. We have Monica Mashumoto on violin. We have Stephen Gorgon on viola. And we have Wei On Hung on the violoncello. And it's important to note that it's a combination of recent graduates and also students, and we congratulate Joanne and Stephen on completing their PhDs this time. So I give you the Whitman String Quartet.
All right, thank you so much everyone for joining us here, and thank you Dan for asking us back every single year. It's always a pleasure to come back to Stony Brook to perform. So we're going to start off tonight's program with the second string quartet by Borden. He composed it in 1881, and it was dedicated to his wife, and he actually wrote it as a 20th anniversary wedding gift for her. The program depicts their first meeting, and the third movement, which is by far the most popular one, is called Nocturno, which translates to night, and it's basically a conversation between 2 people, and it gets passed around. It starts off with cello, and then first violin, and then it goes around the quartet.
Okay, before we go into intermission, Sue, watch your head there. So, the church has been here since, the church as an entity has been here since before the Civil War. What you need? What's that? Yes. So the church as an entity has been here since before the Civil War. This building has been here since 1896, so there's a lot of history here. I'm not going to relive all of it. If I can get my... There we go. So there are many things that celebrate our history here, including the plaques in the back of the church. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to call your attention to this plaque right here. Anna Jasinski. Now let me ask an honest question here. Did anyone live in Stony Brook before 1961? Anyone live here before 1961? There's one, okay.
64.
I'm sorry?
1964.
Well, you're pretty close, you're pretty close.
65.
So our most senior member passed away a couple years ago, Dr. Jack Feigl. So many of the stories I tell about the church were told to me originally by Dr. Jack Feigl and his wife Jane, who passed away recently, who are long-standing members of this church. And one of the stories he told me initially was the story of Anna Jasinski. And the reason I ask if you lived in the village before 1961, village has undergone a lot of change. You know, that whole area down there, all those little stores and so forth, those are all, you know, and if you go back in terms of when we were here since before the Civil War, you know, those are fairly recent, recent occurrences. So the Jasinskis were famous in Stony Brook. They used to own a country store years ago, Jasinski. And Anna Jasinski, what you see now is the Riboli Center, for the Arts and History. You may have noticed, what does it look like to you?
It's a bank.
It looks like a bank. The reason it looks like a bank is it used to be a bank. And Anna Jasinski, who that plaque is in honor of, she worked at that bank for many years. And unfortunately, she was on her way back from lunch and she got hit by a car and was killed in 1961 in front of that bank. And it's really it's quite profound, interesting, choose your adjective there, is Anna Jasinski was the one who was probably most responsible for Joe Riboli becoming an internationally famous artist. You say, how is that possible? Well, Jack told me the story originally, and I always believed everything Jack said. But I said, let me just talk to Joe Riboli's widow, Lois Riboli, who is now the director of the Riboli Center. Joe passed away about 15 years ago. And I said, you know, Jack says Anna was the one who was responsible for Joe being a great artist. Can you help me understand the stories? He said, yeah, I know that story. When Joe Riboli was a young artist, going all the way back to junior high, there used to be art shows. And all his was the only art that always sold out. Every single time there was an art show, his art sold out. What he didn't realize is his aunt, Anna Jasinski, would always arrange with the people who organized the art show. Whatever didn't sell, she would buy. Gave Joe a tremendous sense of confidence. Joe Riboli grew up in this church. Joe Riboli was baptized. You see the baptismal font. He was baptized here. Joe Riboli used to serve on the altar as a Episcopal church. We don't use the word altar boy, we say acolyte. He was an acolyte here. And he and Lois were actually married here. And I told you I'd tell you the story of this little hat. Some of you know this story quite well. This is the hat. Each year we do a fundraiser here. We do a 5K walk, a 5K run and a 2K walk to celebrate the role of the church in the community and also to raise funds to make this church more accessible. Some of you may have had a bit of a struggle getting up the steps. We have people we know would like to join us that can't make it up the steps. If you say, where's the bathroom? I have to say, look, we don't have one. You know, go down next to the post office now. There's that restaurant, Sweet Mama's. I always want to say Mama Leone's. Sweet Mama's is kind enough to let their bathrooms be available to us. So the role of that, we do that race each year to celebrate the role of the church in the community, and also to raise funds to make this church accessible. And we've made quite a lot of progress. Many of you know local community leader Herb Bones. Herb is leading up that project. We've raised over $75,000 towards that end. And we hope to get our act together within the next year or so to provide some type of ramp, make the church accessible, and also provide a bathroom as well. So the little story, that's the connection with Anna Jasinski. So I try to limit myself to one story. Okay, so we'll go into intermission now. Intermission will last for 15 minutes. During intermission, the ladies outside will be serving a Sauvignon Blanc from Hungary. We're truly international tonight, so we got a Hungarian Sauvignon Blanc, and we've got Cabernet Sauvignon from California. Unless you think all we do here at All Souls is drink wine, we have water as well. And while you're out there enjoying yourself, I will put out 2 little trash bins so you can put your empties in there. When it's time to come back at 50, we don't have a little pretentious man in a tuxedo with a triangle. So what we'll do, we're better than that, we will ring the bell and flicker the lights. Before we go into intermission, I'd like to also welcome Father Tom Reese. Father Tom. Father Tom is our priest in charge, so if you haven't met Father Tom, please meet him at intermission. Okay, we'll see you in 15 minutes. Thank you. And don't forget. Everybody for the second act. So let's hope you all enjoyed the reception. Let's welcome back the Whitman String Quartet.
So for our second half, I'll just introduce the first 3 pieces for now. So our first thing we'll be playing is a slow movement from Beethoven's Pathetique Sonata, originally for piano. So we've got an arrangement for a string quartet. Pathetique you might think would be pathetic, but it was really for having passion and pathos and emotion. So it's a little bit tragic, the entire sonata, except the second movement's a lot more warmth, a lot more romantic. So hopefully you'll enjoy the ride. The second piece we'll be playing is an intermezzo by Brahms, also for piano originally. And it was written as a love letter to his close friend Clara Schumann, his best friend's wife, and they had a really close relationship. And this is one of the last things he wrote for piano, which we put into string quartet form, so we hope you enjoy that as well. And the third piece is another transcription from Mahler's Third Symphony. And his finale from that has a marking, What Love Tells Me. So a very lush, romantic movement. We'll only be playing the opening. It's about 20 minutes long with full brass. So the first 3-minute opening section worked a lot better to put from 9 strings into 4. So we hope you enjoy those, and then we'll play the last piece.
Thank you.
so the final piece on our program is Piazzolla's Oblivion, which is arranged for string quartet. There are many arrangements of this piece, but I decided to arrange it for string quartet. So Piazzolla is a composer of tango music, so it's time for something different. But he received training in classical music. Piazzolla, traditionally with tango, it is a genre that is like music to a dance, but Piazzolla developed his own genre of tango without a dance and immersed his own style into it. So Oblivion, you might recognize the scene, but it was actually from a movie called Henry IV. And the movie itself is not that well known, but this melody has been played and arranged and been recorded and added lyrics to in many different arrangements. So hope you enjoy it. a surprise for you. So we'd like to play something that we'd like to dedicate to Dan and Dan and Susan for their 29th anniversary. They were married 29 years ago in this church, so we would like to play something to celebrate that.
It was 29 years ago in this church, and I would do it again in a minute.
When you started the concert, you said about the first piece was for an anniversary gift. And I went, oh, isn't that coincidental?
Actually, it is, because when we planned the program, we didn't know that.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Okay, it's our tradition to give the audience an opportunity to ask questions of the musicians. So, anyone have any questions? Yes, up front here.
It's not so much that I have a question, I just kind of want to bring one of the performers out. Today is very special because we've all been watching the coronation of King Charles, and we happen to have a performer here who, as a student at the Royal Conservatory of Music, played a solo for Prince Charles. Chosen one out of the whole academy, and that is Joanne Dumitrascu. And everyone played so beautifully tonight, so tight. What a great performance. Thank you.
And before we do any more questions, I'd like to thank our two people who hosted the reception for us, Suzanne and Susan. I'd also like to thank Bob Bramworth, Tom Bramworth, Tom with an H. We have many Toms. Tom is does the interfaith morning prayer service with me every Tuesday, and he's also our photographer. So we've, with Tom's volunteering and stepping forward, all of our concerts now are recorded and posted on the All Souls websites. So thank you, Tom.
So my question, you're just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. With three of you playing the violin, right? And each of you one of you gives voice to a different piece in each composition. Because you're not playing the same thing at the same time. It
You
doesn't
know,
look like that.
there are a lot of factors that go into it, like the first piece. We played that a few months ago in Bellport, and we switched. I was playing first, Monica was playing second, then we decided for this sponsor to switch. Sometimes it has to do with scheduling, the amount of rehearsals we can fit in. Yeah, we try to keep it balanced, so we all have the same amount of work in terms of music preparation.
You play so beautifully together. Yeah.
And in terms of the voicing, it's usually first violin will be the highest, second violin, second highest, and then viola, the middle, the tenor voice, and then cello is at the lowest. So sometimes if you're bringing a melody in a lower register, that's how it's determined. So for the Mahler I arranged, actually most of the time cello in the orchestra would be having that melody, but of course cello had to play the bass line, so I had to give it to myself, unfortunately.
Thank you.
And there's some moments like in the Borodin or like the moment where I gave in the Piazzolla, sometimes the cello gets the melody, and sometimes like when the voice is like, even though traditionally we hear it like highest to lowest, like when it gets shifted around, that's what creates sort of like diversity.
Yeah.
So, in the music.
It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
Other questions? Steve?
Yeah, it seems like when I'm watching you, you're so attuned to each other, and you're like, at least we don't perceive it, but do you make micro adjustments, like, because it seems like you're listening to each other's performance, and
All the time.
Yeah.
It's all the time.
Especially for this music where someone's taking extra time than usual.
I mean, no matter how much rehearsal you put into it, there will be adjustments, and you just have to be spontaneous and go with it.
It varies with the person, sometimes it varies with
With
even
the audience,
acoustics, yeah.
acoustics, everything.
Even temperament.
Yeah.
do you also like, is it harder to play with a larger group, or is it more difficult actually with four, like you're doing today? Do you like?
With a larger group, it's harder because there are more, people that need to connect. And again, a lot depends on rehearsal time. With a smaller group, the parts are more exposed. So it really depends. There are different levels of difficulty in different categories.
Yes,
So
in orchestra, usually the conductor would be leading, intro to everything, then you'd be following a section leader for sort of your go-to and imitating them. So it might not be what you want to do, but you know to follow, and everyone's doing the same thing. Here we can all do what we want to do within reason. If someone is doing something very dramatic, we might say, hey, do you mind taking more time there or less time? But it's really up to us in the smaller groups.
It's very impressive how accomplished you all are individually. How many hours a day do you practice on average individually?
it depends. I think at this stage, it could be anywhere from an hour to like an 8-hour day. Because we juggle multiple projects,
Okay.
We actually, Stephen and I just did a concert last week.
Yes.
I have a different concert every week for the next 3 weeks. They also have the same different programs. Sometimes we play with other people, so it really depends on time of year.
Yeah, I do a lot of teaching, so a lot of the time I'm playing my instruments while teaching, so I can have an 8-hour day teaching everything, and then if I have a concert coming up and really want to work on something, or a student picked a difficult piece, then I'll be putting in some extra hours late at night to fill in the gaps. When I wasn't teaching and it was, in college, it was okay, you better be practicing 2 to 4 hours on top of your chamber groups and your orchestra and your lessons.
Other questions?
I have one
Sue,
more.
also, Sue, now come up here. Sue?
For the new PhDs, congratulations, first of all. How has it changed your feeling now about your music, or has it at all?
For me, I think it's freed up a lot of my schedule, not having to be on campus and just being able to take on more projects. I had to be a lot pickier when I was in school, just because I had very limited time, and now I can just, book 3 or 4 things in the city, and it's kind of nice being able to do that.
Yeah, I graduated back in 2019, so I've had a few years sort of, again, same sort of thing, there's less, you're not stuck on campus to like, oh, you have to be here for something, but it's also then up to you to sort of choose what projects you're doing, who you're playing with, I also just want to congratulate Monica on just having her final recital. So this will actually be her last concert with us. But we're very, very proud of her and happy that she's been here with us the last year or so.
Other questions, comments?
My
Yes, go ahead.
question is very simple. I'm not very musical. I'm just wondering, does the bow have, can you get them in different weights, or can you change the weight, or does that matter at all when you're playing?
Yes, so definitely, there's a lot of different types of bows. Sometimes the weight's distributed differently depending on how much you tighten the hair. You'll get more resistance. If the hair is really, really tightened, you can't really add any weight. You have to use a much lighter bow. If you tighten the bow, there'll be more resistance. So.
But some of them are also just made, frog or tip heavy. Some people actually prefer that. It really depends on, it's a personal preference. That's why when we try out bows, I think.
So do you adjust it throughout your performance, or just keep it at one?
No, we don't adjust the bow itself. Sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 bows that I'll use, different ones for different kind of performances.
Yeah, maybe before if I'm playing, something intimate with lots of very loud playing the entire time, I may need a tighter bow than I'm used to.
Yeah,
For some, more.
or a heavier bow for something that's a thicker sound and.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Other questions? I've got one actually for Leanne. The violin-cello, could you explain that combination a little bit, the instrument you play?
So it's a longer name for a cello. So cello is actually a shortened version.
Yeah.
So whenever it
I
says,
think it's French.
Yeah.
Violoncello. I think it's French term for cello.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a low violin basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe.
I notice it's so much larger than the others.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, just before we wind up, I mentioned this hat, and I mentioned also the story of Anna Jasinski. Just to close the loop on that, we do the All Souls race. It starts in front of the church, but our registration center and our awards ceremony is actually at the Rivoli Center. So it kind of comes full circle to make the church accessible. And every time we go there, we think of Anna Jasinski, we think of Joe Rivoli. The upcoming concerts that we've got, again, we do this every month, and on June 3rd, we have a returning for the 3rd time, a classical Spanish guitarist, Francisco Roldan. He's performed as a soloist and with chamber ensembles and orchestras in Portugal, Greece, Russia, Spain, Colombia, it gets around this guy, Argentina, the Dominican Republic, Lithuania, Paraguay, as well as throughout the US. His concert will include music from Argentina, Cuba, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Paraguay, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela. So I welcome you all to attend, and if you know anyone in the Hispanic community, encourage them to attend as well. So that's on June 3rd. July 8th, so we're going to give Tom Manuel a break from preaching. He's going to be here with his group Gospel Road. It's a gospel concert they do here in the church. It's an annual event. It'll be July 8th. And August 5th, we do something quite unique. I've mentioned that we have a concert series, we have a poetry series, and we also do Native American drumming. Once a year, we bring all 3 groups together. So there's a group, it's a concert, special concert called Conversations on the Sacred. So there's poetry that is read by local poets, and it's all sacred poetry. There are students from the university, and also our Native American drummer is part of that as well. So mark your calendars for June 3rd, July 8th, and August 5th. And before you go, again, anyone wants to be on our invitation list here, and if you'd like to leave a thank you to the musicians, there's the little bucket in the back. So one last round of applause for our group. Thank you, everybody. Come on back, Steve. Good.